Ian here from Funner Computer. When last we met, we had changed the player controls to add a special set position of myself to new location 1350. That's the X position 1300 and the Y position at 50. And we did that for testing so that we could move the player further along in the game so we don't have to test from the beginning all the time. All right, I'm going to close this out, and I've already saved that. Now, I would love to be able to do something like that for these disappearing doodads because they're awfully hard to get exactly lined up where you want them to be. And then it's sort of a giveaway that they're going to disappear because they're off center. Well, we can do something like that. Here's our disappearing doodad. Over here, I'm going to click Edit, and here we have the when created. So somewhere in here, we need to change the position of these to someplace that we want. So what are we going to do? In Transform, down here we've got Set Position. So we're going to need one of these. And then back in Transform, we're going to need Create New Location. And this will go click right into there. So we're going to set position of myself to a new location at 0, 0, but we don't actually want to go to 0, 0. Well, we can figure out exactly where we want to go on the X and Y coordinates. However, if we were to change them here, say we want this to be 2000 and we want this to be at 0. Well, that sounds great, except that that means that everything that has this script will all be located here. Every single one of them. And we don't really want them all stacked up on top of each other, so these are not what we want. I'm going to just drop these right into the trash, because we don't want them all to be stacked on top of each other. We want them all to have their own separate location. So how do we do that? Well, what we can do is make changes to instance variables. Oh, how do we do that? Well, cool. First of all, what is a variable? A variable is something that varies or changes. It could be any value, and they're great in computer science because sometimes you just don't know what the value is going to be. So you have to be able to deal with whatever it is. Over here, we have a thing called variables. We're going to click on those, and what we're looking for are properties. We're going to grab a property, and we're going to grab this one. It says true, false, I. And we're going to take this over here. But we don't want a true or false, which is cool, but that's not what we're looking for right now. We want an X or a Y coordinate. So we want a coordinate, but what is a coordinate? Well, it's a number. If they had a coordinate here, well, they do. They have a location. Location. But I'm going to actually change that back to number. That's all right. It's still going to work because we have the create new location. Now, I is not exactly right. We're going to rename this to X. Okay, because that's what we want. We want an X and then we want a Y. So actually, we're going to make another one. We'll copy and paste this, and we'll go over to this, and we'll do new variable, and that'll be Y. Okay, so now we have two variables, number X and number Y, and they're going to represent coordinates. But how do we get them to work with as an instance variable? Well, we'll go over here, we go to script properties, and look, here's X and Y on this list in script properties. Well, they're already checked public because I've went through this before just to be sure that it works, and it did. So I checked them before, but you want to make sure they're checked, okay, in the public column. And that means that they're going to be available as instance properties. Okay, x and y. So we can be done with this, and number x will go here, and number y will go here, and this entire block will go over here for when created. Okay, excellent. And we'll save this. Yes, please save. Okay, now these this code is already part of these. However, because we made changes to it, we actually need to reassign them. So we can right click on this and remove script for all of them. It's a little tedious, but there are only 4 of them for now, and we'll never have to do that again. Alright, now we can click on the new disappearing doodad, and click on that, and click on that, and this one, and this one. Okay. Now if you want to get rid of this thing so it's not following your cursor all the time, just click on the arrow and it's gone. Okay. Now, I can edit instance properties, and look at this. Here's an X and a Y. So I can set this wherever I want. That is cool. Now if I hover over here, and it looks like it's about oh, hold on. I gotta close this. So this will update with when that box isn't open. Alright, so it's about 1680, and right at the top will be 0. So 1680 0 is where this upper left block is going to be. Okay, great. Now we can go back to edit instance properties, and we'll set this to 1680 and the Y at 0. And we'll close. Now, I happen to know that each of these blocks are 48 pixels by 48 pixels. They're squares, 48 by 48. That means that this one, if we edit instance properties, will be, oh, right, there's another little issue here. I've got to go back and remove these scripts again. Otherwise, again, they're all going to have the same position, which is awful. That's right. There's a little weirdness with Gamefroot, actually quite a bit. But I have to select this and then add this, and then I have to actually select it again and add it, and then select it another time to add it. And that will allow me to have separate ones. Alright, hold on. Let's edit. So that's 1680. We want to make sure that these are starting at 0, 0. Okay, now we're good. Where was I? So the top left one is at 1680, 0. That means that this one is going to be at 1680 on the X axis, exactly lined up, so in the same column, but not in the same row. It's going to be 48 down. So in the Y, we're going to say 48 and then close. Alright. This one up here is going to be, well, it's going to be 1680 plus 48, which is 1728. And that's also going to be at the top, so that's going to be 0. And this one will be at 1728 and at 48. Okay, now if we play this, boom. Okay, our character starts down here, and look, these blocks are all lined up perfectly. I want to show you something else. If I were to move them anywhere, does not matter, okay, and then play, Look, they're back where they're supposed to be. That's because when those are created, they end up being moved right back into that position and they line up like a grid. Fantastic. Thanks for listening.